I'm Brittney Saunders and welcome to Big Business, the place where business is far from boring. And today I'm recording on a Wobbical land. Now, I somehow managed to build an empire from the garage underneath my house, and I'm here to share it all with you. From the wins, the mistakes, the challenging times, and the funny moments in between. So whether you're in business already, perhaps you're not in the game at all, maybe you're just looking for some general inspo, or you simply just want to hear the tea, this is the podcast for you. Coming up on today's episode, I'm flipping the script. Recently, I did an episode about staff on social media and staff being the face of a brand or your brand or any brand for that matter. Today, I'm going to be talking about being the face of your brand as a founder and owner. And just the fact that we're kind of entering this era where owners are feeling so much pressure to be the face of the brand. Isn't it so funny how far marketing has come and how differently we do it? So without further ado, let's just get straight down to business. Oh, well, who better to speak on this topic than me, being the face of your brand. I was at a networking business kind of conference event thing a few weeks back now, and one person that was doing a keynote speech, they were talking about how different marketing used to be back in the day, and this was he was like an older guy who'd been in business for a really long time, and he had some like visual examples of ways that businesses used to market themselves. And this was before online businesses were a thing, right? It was before social media. It was before websites or anything. It was just when a business was like a shop, like your local shop or your local surf shop or your local news shop or whatever. And he had visual examples, and he said, like, back in the day, like, this was advertising, and shops would like put a A-frame display like out on the road in front of their business, and it might have like their product offering on the A-frame so that you could like be out the front of the shop and see what they've got in store just on this sign. And in the shop window, businesses used to have like a catalogue in the window, printed a heap of times so that it stood out. And it was like their whole catalogue and offering right there in the window. So you didn't have to like go into the shop to see what they had. You could look at all these posters stuck in the window, and that's how you would see what they're selling inside. And those concepts are just so simple. And he was saying, you know, if you wanted to go real fancy back in the day, you could buy an ad on the radio, you know, and then like television as well, obviously, like having a TV commercial. But when he was talking through this, it just made me think like, wow, how crazy that we're in this era now where social media is everything and content is everything. And, you know, whilst traditional media still exists, you know, you can still put signs up and you can still buy an ad on the radio. It's just so different now where business owners can have so much success by posting organically to social media. And I'm going to talk a bit about content today as well, because I know for a fact that content is one of the number one things that people struggle with the most. And do you want to know, I'm just going on lots of tangents already in this episode. Sorry, Xander. But one thing that's been really cool for me is I've obviously been around on the internet for a really long time. I've been sharing my face and voice and life on social media for well over 10 years. And back in the day when I was just an influencer and not in the business world at all, I would kind of do like meet and greets or like events with brands, and people would meet me and say, hey, can we get a photo? Like, I love your YouTube videos and stuff. And that would be it. Like, that was my interactions with people back in the day. But what is the most awesome thing ever is these days I've been doing a lot of like talks on stages and keynotes and all that kind of stuff. And whenever I do a keynote or a panel or whatever at any of these events that I'm speaking at, I'll finish up on the stage, and then naturally, if there's like a break, people will come and want to like meet me. So like I kind of always do like an impromptu meet and greet after each time I talk on stage. But something that I'm noticing a lot lately especially is when I do these impromptu meet and greets after my talks, instead of people just being like, hey, like I love what you do, can we get a photo? People ask me questions about business. Like they might have like a specific question that they have for me. They might have something they're struggling with their business. And it's like I feel so honored every time someone asks me a question about business. And it's just been really cool for me personally to go from, hi, can we get a photo? I love your videos, to, hey, Britt, I've got some questions I would love to ask you. Like it's just, I feel so honored when someone asks me business questions. And then of course I'm like, do you want to get a photo? And, you know, we still do the fun photo bit, but people are literally coming to me for business advice. And I just think that's the coolest thing ever. And a lot of the questions that I get are about content. Like I'm noticing a theme that content is like a pain point for a lot of business owners. And business owners are feeling as if though they have no choice but to do content, especially in 2025, because they feel as if though if they don't do content, they'll get left behind. But at the same time, I feel like content is one of those things that people always put in the too hard basket. It's too hard. I don't have the time. I'm not creative enough. And I get it. But I think it's more of a mentality thing with content, because when push comes to shove and you actually make content, especially if it's just a little TikTok or a little reel, it doesn't actually take that long. It's more like we have this mind frame, and I'll admit I'm like that sometimes too. Like I'm too fucking busy. I can't think of making videos right now. But then when you actually take the action and make the piece of content, in reality, it's not really that long, but we all just like think that content is too hard to make. Xander, you're nodding your head and kind of agreeing. I did a couple of stories on my stories last night. I'm pre-recording this episode, by the way, so it was a while ago by the time you're hearing this. I did a story series, and I said, this is for all of my business owners, content creators, and listeners of big business. I'm going into my bulk content era. And one question that people always ask me, like, what's the right amount of times to post? You know, and what time of the day is the right time to post? And there's no like definitive answer to that. It's however much you want to put yourself out there. I always post a majority of my content at night, and that's just because I have always assumed that's when most people are on their phones. When they've finished dinner, they're laying around, they're on the lounge, they're in their bed. I always do a majority of my posts at night, but I also chuck posts up in the morning, like morning, lunchtime, nighttime. And I myself have never had like any content goals. My goal with content has just always been create and post content. I'm not like the type of person where I have structure with my content or goals in terms of how many I definitely want to post. But in my mind, I think I've always had the thought I want to at least try to post one reel a day and TikTok. And I thought to myself just quite literally yesterday morning, why am I limiting myself to one a day? Which I know sounds crazy because that's a lot. But there's no limit on how many times you can post. And I actually saw an interview with Addison Rae. If you don't know her, she's absolutely killing it. She's already like a pop star, but she's really like up and coming. Like she's young and she's new and she's absolutely killing it. And she rose to fame on TikTok kind of through like COVID times. And she's kind of stepped away from being a TikToker now and is like moving more into being just a full on pop star. And they were talking about TikTok in the interview. And she was saying in the height of her, like she got millions and millions of followers on TikTok. She said in the height of her growing that TikTok and wanting to become super famous on TikTok, she was posting 7 to 12 TikToks a day, which is wild. But in saying that, the type of content that she was posting back in the day, it might just be her dancing for 20 seconds. So like really easy to make videos. But I'm in my bulk content era, I've decided, because why should I limit myself to one a day? So yesterday I posted 4 reels, which is crazy. And I don't want to have any unrealistic expectations that I'm going to be able to do that all the time. But the more content, the better. And I think we all just need to get out of that mindset that it's too hard, because yeah, it's hard, but anything is hard when you think about it, especially if it's something that you have to like work on and hopefully get results from. Like it's going to feel tough and challenging. When it comes to content, if it was a piece of piss and everyone got 20 million views every time we posted, like everyone would be doing it, but then it wouldn't be fun and exciting. And I've got actually another example here for you. I'm just going on so many tangents. I swear I'm getting to the point in this episode of talking about like being the face of your brand, but I just got to go on lots of tangents to get there. When I was at Retail Fest, and I hope this guy doesn't mind me talking about him. I'm not going to say his name. I was at Retail Fest, which is like this networking conference event that happens every year. And I was just standing like outside in the foyer area with my friend Anita, who owns Hero Packaging, and she's been on the pod. If you haven't heard our episodes together, go give them a listen. And this guy, because it's a networking event, like you're just saying hello to anyone and everyone, like everyone's excited and keen to meet one another. And this guy just randomly like was standing near us and he was like, "Hey ladies, how you going?" Like he was super friendly. And so you're wearing lanyards at this event that says like your company name. So it's like a really great way to be like, "Oh, what's this company that you either work at or own?" And so we got chatting. He had no idea who either of us are. And he had his business name on his lanyard. And we were like, "Oh, what's your business?" And he said, he was the owner, and he said, "I sell like ergonomic office chairs." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And then I got chatting in like another conversation, and Anita must have said to this guy, "Show me your business. Like, I want to see." And if you know Anita, like Sell Anything Online is like her username. She is just like the most straight to the point, cutthroat, like marketer and business person, and I love her for it. And so I wasn't in the conversation at this point, but she said, "Show me your business." And so he pulled up his Instagram account and was like, "This is it." And then I came back into the conversation like as he was showing her his Instagram, and bless him, his Instagram was just like his e-commerce product photos posted like down the whole grid. Like there was no reels, there was no people. It was just his photos of his chairs against a white backdrop kind of thing. It was giving very like 6 years ago when you could post photos like that and it would sell. And I think a lot of business owners are still stuck in that mindset that you need to have like this really curated feed and it needs to be all about products and selling, when that's so far from the truth. In 2025, our feeds need to be nothing really about our products and everything about us as people. And the poor guy, Anita was going, "This is shit." She's going, "This is not good." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "What are you doing? Like, there's no people in this feed. Like, it's just your photos of your chairs, like, stock images from his website." And lucky, the guy was really funny. So he was like, "What do you mean? What am I doing wrong?" And then Anita's going, "Do you know who you're standing with here? Like, this is Brittney Saunders. Like, she's the queen of content." And I'm like, "Give me your phone." And so I'm looking at his phone and I'm like, "Where's the people? Like, it's just photos of chairs. Like, this isn't going to sell." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "You need to create reels with your chairs and post them. Like, do a video spinning around on see how many times you can spin with one push. Like, there's a video idea for you. Like, get someone to push you once and see how many times you spin around. Do a video racing down the street on your chairs. Like, just get creative and think outside the box." And do you want to know the first thing that he said to me? When I said to him, "You need to have a person in your videos. Like, you need to be in the videos." And he was like young 20s, like friendly, funny looking guy. Not funny looking, but like fun. fun guy. Xander. His first thing he said to me was, "Can I outsource that?" And I was like, "Did you really just say that?" Like, I'm trying to give him this advice with his content, and Anita and I are like hyping him up, giving him video ideas, and his first initial thought was, he just goes, "Well, can I outsource that? Can I get someone else to do it?" And I just wanted to say to him, like, if you want to own a business and you want it to be successful, and if you want if you want to grow, like you can't, as the founder, be so lazy with your own marketing that your first thought when it comes to like content for your business and getting the word out there and marketing is, oh, can I outsource that to someone else? And I was like, no, you shouldn't outsource it. Like, this is your product. You should be proud of it and you should jump in and like try to get the word out there. And I think when it comes to content, especially for businesses, like owners see it as like, I don't want to do that. But like if you want to grow and you want sales and you want eyes on your business, you creating content for your business is marketing. Like, and I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but that's actually part of your job as a business owner, to market your business. That is what I do every single day on social media. And if you want to be in business and you want to work for yourself and you want success, you have to. It's part of your duty to show up on social media and get your product out there. And I just feel like people are sleeping on this because, yes, it costs you time to create content for your business, but it's free. It is free to create content and put it out there on the internet. And I just think I'm so shocked when business owners say, I don't want to do that. Can someone else do it? Are you fucking kidding? Like, get out there and be proud and promote your business and get amongst the content. I know it's hard and we don't have the time, but if you're passionate enough and if you want to break through the mold and be seen by people and get eyes on your business, get new customers, get more followers, build your community, you need to be making content for your business. Now let's actually just get on to talking a little bit more about being the face of your brand. Like having staff on socials, it has its perks and it has its pitfalls. It's obviously a great thing to do, and you don't have to be anyone special to be the face of your brand. Now, why is being the face of your brand an important and powerful tool? I've said this a lot of times already on my podcast, but people don't really care about products. They care about people. And we're just in this era of marketing being so much more personal than it used to be. You know, speaking back to the radio ads and the posters in the window, it's not about that anymore. People want to connect with businesses and brands through people. So if you've got it in you to be on camera and talk to the camera and show your personality, maybe tell some stories, go for gold, because that is how I've built my entire business. What a lot of business owners in 2025 are doing now is they are starting a business and they're launching it. They've got the products, everything, but then they've got no audience to launch it into. If I was an aspiring founder today and I had no followers, but I had an idea of a business that I wanted to do, what I would do is I would create the Instagram and TikTok, whether it's the business one or my personal one, and I would start creating content. I would, for 2 years before launching a business, I would build an audience online so that by the time I was ready to launch the business, boom, I've got an audience that I've built. There are just so many perks. And I feel like a lot of them are obvious as to why being the face of your business is so powerful. For me, like I've noticed that when I show up and talk about what we're doing at Fate, which is what I basically do for a full-time job, whether it's like a new campaign we're doing, something we're doing internally with staff, a behind-the-scenes moment, people genuinely feel way more invested and they care about the outcome, and that is so powerful. I've done whole episodes about our store openings. When we open a store, I document that whole journey because people become so invested. Being the face of the brand is also amazing because it makes your brand instantly recognizable. When people see my face, they think of Fate. Isn't that like the most magical, powerful thing ever? They also think of a lot of other things like Pink V, but because I'm the face of Fate, like they will think of Fate when they see me. When they see me wearing an outfit, they'll probably go, she's probably wearing Fate right now. So putting your face to a brand just gives it that connection and it makes it memorable. And when content is king, being the face of your brand gives you unlimited material. You become the storyline in your brand. everything that I do, I can turn into pieces of content, which then like builds the story of my business. We open stores, we document it. We do a community picnic, we document it. We move offices, we document it. Like putting yourself in the content gives you like endless opportunities to create content. And I think where a lot of business owners struggle is when they don't want to put themselves in content, which, by the way, fair enough. Like, I'm not forcing anyone to be in content, but when you aren't putting yourself in the content, you're then limited as to what you can make videos about. You know what I mean? Like, then you've got to do like packing people's orders and it's just your hands kind of thing. Like, you become far more limited when it comes to the types of content that you can create if you're not going to be in it yourself. It also opens so many doors, like down the track when you're the face of a brand, because you're known for being the face of a brand. So then you can get, opportunities to go on podcasts to speak about your brand because people know that you're the face of the brand. PR, brand deals, speaking gigs. People want to work with brands that have a human face. So it's just an absolute no-brainer that being a face of your business is absolutely magnetic. But let's also just quickly talk about what happens when the magnet pulls a little bit too hard. And this is the real tea. First of all, you can't really switch off. And we've spoken about this a lot on the pod. And I talk about this a lot as well, like on my stories and stuff. You are the brand when you are the face of the brand. So even when you're at dinner or you're on holiday, you're thinking about content. And now the lucky thing for me is I absolutely love making content. I think that's one of my biggest strengths actually, is I have always loved making content, whereas other people may struggle with it because they don't like it. And that would be really difficult. But I absolutely love it. But that's one of the downfalls, is that you can't switch off because you are the brand. I am fate. Second, when people criticize the brand, it feels personal. I've dealt with this myself many times. Oh, not many. Luckily, only a small handful. But I've dealt with this many times. Fuck, why do I keep saying many? I'm just on autopilot with what I'm saying here. It's just coming out. Maybe it is many times. No, it's not. But a handful of times over the years, I've had people say, I went into Brittney Saunders' store and this is what I really think. And then, it's a really negative video. And it hurts when it feels so personal that way. And people, I think, feel like it is an opportunity to critique personally. Versus, when someone does a video like, I went into Cotton On and this is what I really think. Who owns Cotton On? No one fucking knows. But if someone makes a video and goes, I went into Fate and this is what I really think, people immediately are going to think of me. And then that can have a negative impact not only on me personally and my feelings and everything else that's involved, but also it can have an impact on my reputation because I am the brand. So that's another thing to be mindful of. There's also just the constant pressure to always feel like you need to be inspiring, confident, funny, grateful, relatable, professional, vulnerable, all at once. And this isn't just with being the face of your brand. This is about putting your face on social media. You feel like you always have to perform or be on. I actually saw something really funny the other day, Xander. Again, I'm going on a little tangent here. But I read Reddit at night. I just scroll through the homepage of Reddit, trending, whatever. And I'm in a couple of groups. One of the groups is I'm in the Newcastle Reddit thread. You just see people from Newcastle posting stuff. People saying, what was that loud bang? It's like a community group. And then I saw this post that a random user had done. And it was what are some celebrities from Newcastle that you don't like or something? And I clicked on it and I was like, oh, I'm interested to see. But I didn't think that I would be on there because I don't consider myself a celebrity at all. And so I was scrolling through the comments, just having a little giggle. And the celebrities that they were mentioning, not that Newcastle is known for celebrities, but it was Andrew Johns, the footy player, Maddie Johns, our local news readers, just local celebrities, people on the radio in Newcastle, and people were spilling the tea about just local legends. And then someone had commented me and They said that I wasn't really a celebrity, but more an influencer that owns a shop. A shop. And she said, my friend saw her at the hairdressers and she was being so rude to the staff. So that was someone exposing me. And it just made me think, it's so funny. And this ties into like being the face of the brand. When I go and get my hair done, I'm not an influencer. When I go and get my hair done, I'm not there to entertain. But I think when people follow you online, where you are always entertaining, you open my stories, I'm being entertaining. You look at my reels, I'm being entertaining. I think a lot of people can get the lines blurred and think that that's the way that I'm meant to be 24/7. Whereas when I'm at the hairdressers, I go in there, I sit in the chair, I always have my laptop, and I just fucking do work when I'm at the hairdressers. And her saying that I was being rude to the staff, my best friend owns that hair salon and I've been going there for over 10 years. So thank you very much. Maybe I was being rude, but it would be like my bestie doing my hair, or maybe we're having jokes with one another. But that's where the lines can become extremely blurred. When you are the face of a brand and you are posting yourself out there, there is that public expectation that you're going to come across that way every single time you're like out and about in public. But I'll be the first to say, when I'm getting my hair done, I'm not there to be like a content creator. I'm not there to be like, hey, everyone in the salon, how's everyone going la-di-da-di-da, doing a dance? I'm going to sit there and probably have a resting bitch face as I'm getting my foils cooking in my hair. So I just thought that was really funny. But that's definitely one of the downfalls of being the face of a brand, or just being a face on social media, is people are going to hold you to certain standards, and if you don't meet them when they see you out in the wild, they're going to go, Brittney Saunders is actually so rude to her hairdresser. Sorry, Wade. Also, sometimes when I go get my hair done, I might be in a fucked mood, I've just had a fucked day at work or whatever, and then I plonk myself down at the hair salon. Of course I'm not going to be like I am in my reels when I'm just sitting getting my foils done, And finally, another downfall of being the face of the brand. Now, I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying that it's a terrible thing to be a face of your brand. It's obviously the best thing ever. But I feel like with this, we have to also be realistic and talk about some of the downfalls. And the last point, and there's probably a lot more that I could share, but it's the blurred boundaries of staff seeing your personal life. This is just a really tricky one, and I've spoken about this. I keep saying this. I talk about so much in all of these episodes that I'm just constantly going, I know I've already mentioned this. I've spoken about it in previous episodes. It's just lines become blurred, and I've become so conscious of what I post on social media because I know that my staff might see it and might think something of me. And the lines become blurred as well, where customers will DM you like your close friends. And it just all becomes really blurry, you sometimes forget where work ends and life begins because it is so, so intertwined. And it's just something that you have to be super mindful of. And I've been doing this for long enough now that I know how to set boundaries, and I know where work starts and life ends and the other way around. Life ends? I've lost the absolute plot. I know where work ends and life starts. Oh, don't mind me. We've recorded 3 whole episodes and I'm just going a bit crazy towards the end of this one. It is a bit of a double-edged sword, and no one really prepares you for that when you step into the world of putting content of yourself out there. But, obviously I started creating content of myself when I was a little teenager. So I'm kind of used to it now. But these are just things that you have to think about. So in conclusion, if you are wanting to be the face of your brand, how can you balance it? First, you need to set boundaries. You can be real on social media without being raw. Be mindful of how much you share. Not everything needs to be shared. The second part is start introducing other faces into your brand if your business is at that size. It doesn't always have to be about you. If you've got some team members that are keen to be in content, or you hire someone that's going to help you with content, that's great. You could even reach out to your community and ask if you could create any community-based content of people coming into your shop. We've done that lots of times at Fate. Thirdly, schedule time for off-camera. I mean, I think it's pretty easy for us to be off camera, but when it comes to like being the face of the brand, you can feel like you just always need to be on. You always need to be on the stories. You always need to be posting a reel, but make sure that you're taking time for yourself. And finally, remember that you can evolve. Just because you're the face of your brand now doesn't mean that you have to be forever. You could slowly shift your role as your business grows. Ooh, I wonder if I'll ever do that. I could never imagine that. In conclusion, being the face of your brand in 2025 is a wild, wild ride. It's empowering. It builds so much trust with your community, but it's not always sunshine and stories. I'd actually love to hear everyone's thoughts on this. Are you the face of your brand? Do you want to be? Or are you totally fine? Or do you prefer being behind the scenes? Whilst we have a lot of founder-led brands and founder-facing brands, I do think a majority of the people aren't comfortable being the face of their brand, and I think that is totally fair enough. But as for me, it's something that absolutely works. And if it wasn't for me being the face of the brand and creating the organic content I do, I hate to say it, but I think fate would cease to exist. As always, I'm going to be wrapping up this episode with a tip of the week. I think I'm just going to loop it into this whole theme of this episode, which is content. Don't overthink content. I think a lot of people can get really overwhelmed with content and think that their videos have to be perfect and polished and like a full production start to finish. But I think we need to take advantage of the fact that, especially now in 2025, it's never been easier to make short form silly content and just have fun with it. I feel like I've said this as a tip once before, have fun with your content. But as serious as it can be and overwhelming and stressful, oh my God, I need to post more, I need to create more, let's have fun with it, because at the end of the day, content creation is fun. That's why I started creating content in the first place, because I thought that making YouTube videos might be fun. So have fun with it. Don't overthink it. Do some little trends. Don't be disheartened if they don't perform as well as you'd hoped. And Instagram actually has that new feature now where you can post a trial reel. So when you go to your page, you can post a trial reel. And what that does is it posts out to non-followers only. And it will be a smaller audience, but it's a really good tool for people that are just starting out with content. If you want to start posting stuff, post it as a trial reel. It will sit in a different page on your page where only you can see it, and then it will show those videos to only people that don't follow you. So if you're nervous about posting content, you're worried that your friends or your school friends from back in the day or your auntie or your family might see your content, try a trial reel on Insta, and then you'll become comfortable with posting content. So that is my tip of the week. Anyway, that's all for today's episode. Please feel free to rate us 5 stars if you haven't already, and give us a follow on Instagram, bigbusiness_podcast. And remember to chase after your dreams as if they owe you money.